I've been skating the same bearings for over a year now. Funny part is, they're actually the cheapest bearings that you can buy pretty much out of any skate shop. They're $15, and if you're guessing Bones Reds, you're right. I have Bones Red bearings in my wheels right now. It's finally time to change them out. I've been skating a lot of really crusty, sandy, dirty spots. Recently I was skating this Jersey barrier where every time you bail, it's actually in the sand spot, like behind it is sand. So really you have no option to either get really dirty bearings or to land it. And these shields are like popping off. The point is, like, there was times where I was throwing down my board and I like just couldn't get speed because they were so bad. And I was able to actually get them rolling again. Like you can see, they roll sometimes. All right, it's pretty bad. They don't really roll, but I was still able to skate them. And like I said, these are the cheapest bearings, but what I'm gonna do today is actually put on some of the most expensive bearings that you can get with money. It's the Bone Swiss Precisions. I did get the ceramics because I'm not that rich, but these are really, really good bearings. I've never had a pair of Bone Swiss, actually, my whole life of skateboarding. I've never had a pair, so I figure I'm gonna treat myself and see what the big difference is, because I have the Reds on. After skating them for a whole year, it's crazy how much I can make my bearings last. I really wanna see what the contrast is. So now that I got these out, not too bad considering like these were stuck. Like there's definitely a lot of rust on there, but they were definitely stuck. And my point being is that I think sometimes when people have really bad bearings, they immediately think that you have to like get new bearings and switch it out, which I don't think is always necessarily true. It's the same with like flat spots and wheels. You're able to work these things through. So we'll get into the shieldless and having shields on, whether or not you should keep them or pop them off. These shields actually been falling off on my Reds. And that's typically how I personally ride bearings. I'll just ride them with the shields on because I want them to last as long as possible. These have lasted over a year, so this is what I did with these. I left the shields on, never popped them off. As the shields came off, I did clean them. Like 2 times I've cleaned these bearings actually with the Bones cleaner. And I made videos about how to clean your bearings, so I'll leave a link up above if you're interested how to clean them and maintain your bearings. But that's kind of the overarching point. If you maintain your bearings and you take care of them, you can still skate really crusty, dirty spots and keep them going. $16 bearings. These Bone Swiss, I think they're like what were they? They're around like 80 bucks from the skate shop, which is a pretty penny. That's with tax out the door. And so we're, hopefully gonna get a lot faster board out of the new bearings. And today I'm gonna go skate Washington Street Skate Park. And it's one of those skate parks where it's really hard to get speed if you don't know how to get speed. Meaning if you don't know the lines and stuff. So having fast bearings and fast wheels are definitely gonna work to my advantage today. We'll see about that actually. And I wanna see like how these Bone Swiss ride and the feeling of them. Maybe they're smoother than these, and that's what it's also about, getting a smoother ride. So I'm excited. First time with the Bone Swiss. I feel like I'm a full-grown adult now. Precision bearings. And yeah, like I said, I've been riding these Reds for a long time, so maybe a lot of it is hype. Big difference with the Swiss is they don't really do the A-back. They're like too good for the A-back. They're on a whole different spectrum. Lubricated. They have speed cream in here too, so yeah, I definitely will use the speed cream to maintain things. Like I was saying before, I was skating the Jersey barrier spot in the sand. My board was destroyed. I couldn't even skate it for the rest of the day. But then I just went to Vegas, had a fun time in Vegas, skated the same bearings. So I was able to skate them out. I've gotten bearings wet, rusty, all sorts of stuff like where they barely roll. And I'll just go and push and push and push. And I feel like you could almost because of the bearing, you can almost get the rust off of the bearing. You can almost get the bearings going again, like multiple times. That's kind of the point that I want to make is like, you can get really cheap bearings and make them last a long time. I do skate a lot of spots where there happens to be water nearby and sand and stuff like that. Typically when that happens, I try to skate them as soon as possible. So in that situation, I had to stop skating, but the next day I just went and skated the shit out of them. So let's see what these look like before I just throw them at the concrete. Ooh, got the nice blackness to them. That's the big difference right away. They're black versus red. Here's the new Bone Swiss straight out of the package. You can't hear anything. Here's my Reds I've been skating for over a year. I know it's crazy, but I still feel like they're not that bad. Like I probably could keep skating them, but I'm the type of person that will keep skating gear for over and over and over. And sometimes it does become a disadvantage, especially if you just don't realize it. So changing it up, I might have a big realization that I've actually been, doing a disservice to myself, essentially. I guess we'll see. It's kind of the experiment we're gonna find out in this video. Is like, is the hype real? And I left my skate tool in my homie's car, so I got to use a wrench today. So that's kind of the funny part. I think some people like the Rawls because of the noise. And to me, it's not, I don't know, I just feel like it's not a big deal. I think over time, your bearings are gonna make noise no matter what. Like I know I'm gonna get these guys dirty. I know I'll probably end up getting water on them. Like they're gonna get trashed. And within time, they're gonna make more noise just cause like that's the nature of bearings. You get stuff stuck inside of them. Now that's the point of the Bronson Rawls too, which I think is actually a pretty cool point, that they essentially have the dirt that comes in and then it spits the dirt out. That's sort of like the way they're marketed. Some people believe it, some people don't believe that that's even possible. It's up to the person, it's so subjective. Like if you really need a loud bearing to feel good, do it. I have to do weird stuff to my boards, I don't rock riser pads, for example. People love riser pads, but yet I have huge wheels. Not huge, 56 millimeter wheels, pretty big wheels. And yeah, no riser pads because I just like the wood, straight to wood contact. We'll also spin my wheels at the end of this video and see how they do. I'll skate them for like at least a week or two before I end this video. So we're gonna be hitting Washington Street today to break them in, but then we'll skate some dirty, crusty spots too and just see how they handle. I'm glad though, I will be honest, I'm kind of glad I'm not skating that Jersey barrier that I was talking about that I did skate with the Reds right away, because I feel like that might be a little bit of a waste of money. You almost want to break your bearings in. That's kind of what I'm getting at, because if you just go skate a dirty spot right away, you're giving them no time to just get used to being a bearing. All right, we got 2 more wheels. Washington Street is a pretty intimidating skate park, DIY skate park here in San Diego. Probably heard of it if you're watching my channel or you're a subscriber to my channel. If you're not, hit that subscribe button. Also, a lot of you mentioned in the hockey video where I reviewed this deck that I'm still riding right now that I should try. You actually recommend a lot of different rails. I think the common rails that I've seen are like Skate John. I believe that's what they're called. So I do want to try some new rails because one of the screws did pop out of these rails. I've never found a really good rail that I'm super stoked on. There's some that are good, but none that I'm like committed to, like I need to get it every single time. Also, as far as my deck setup goes, I do have a puller board coming because I've enjoyed this board, but like I said in the hockey video, I think just the wheel wells alone are such an advantage. All right, and I use all my washers now that I can get my Aces trucks on there better. Now with washers, it was a conundrum for a couple of months there, but we're all good. One thing is I noticed my bolts, like my actual hardware bolts on the Aces, are pretty rusty. I don't know why that is. I definitely don't leave my board in the rain. I've had to run or skate through water before for sure, just because it's been so wet lately in California, which is nice. We need it. I'm not complaining. Bearings are on there, so it fills. Wow, that's a whole different roll. I'm gonna get a couple warm-up kick turns, just right around the ramp. Make sure I don't need to tighten the wheels anymore. Head down to Washington Street. We just got to the Pood skate park. Super smooth skate park. It is really, really smooth. I got my friend Alex here, Sean's here. So we'll get their opinions on bearings as well. I'm curious if like they ride the shields on or shields off, because that is a big debate. The one thing I will say right away is with these new Swiss bearings, it's so quiet, and I didn't think that would really play a role with me. It didn't really matter, but the more I skate it, the more it is kind of weird. And I feel like I'm almost riding soft wheels. Even though I'm getting my hard wheel advantage, just the bearings being so smooth and so quiet is kind of eerie. It's almost like this weird feeling of like not being able to hear my board, and so much of skateboarding is noise. So I think that will stop after I kind of skate some more dirty spots and get them like really broken in. We'll see. I have been skating them for like a week already. Unfortunately, I didn't get much footage at Washington Street because I've been working on the video part, and yeah, I just got caught up in like filming tricks. So yeah, we're here at Poods. I want to get some tricks here and kind of see if they're any different after the session. It's so smooth here, so it is just kind of weird because it's so smooth. The combination of being really smooth with really quiet bearings, it's like you hear your board pop and grind and that's it. video is really weird. I just feel like I don't hear my board too well, and a lot of skateboarding is sound. So that's main reason why people take the shields off, so they can hear the board better. And you can actually hear where you're popping better, you hear where you're grinding better. It has a lot to do with just like having more board control, essentially, having shieldless bearings. So that is the one thing that I'm kind of lacking right now. And I can't judge my speed. It's kind of like I was riding soft wheels, that's what I was saying before, but now we're in the bowl zone, transition zone, and it has pole coping, so hopefully I can hear it better. And it has tile, so the tile will help me knowing that I'm getting to the lip. So big disadvantage so far to the ceramic bones Swiss, not the ceramic, sorry, the Swiss bones bearings that I have so far is just, they're so quiet. I'm sure when I get more dirt in them, they'll be better. But like I said, I've been skating them for over a week, and I've been skating some dirty spots, so maybe I've been skipping to skate parks too much. But let's see how the bearings feel in the bowl. All right, unfortunately, my session got cut way too short. I wanted to skate the bowl a lot more, but there were some skate coaches over there. He was mad because I was playing Wu-Tang, or just wasn't vibing with my Wu-Tang. And then he was letting his skater that he was training skate the bowl for like 2 minutes straight, and I was just sitting there waiting. And it was just really awkward. I always wonder about that too. Like, how are people doing private lessons on tax-paying skate parks? Like, I'm not against skate coaches or people having lessons at the skate park. I just think like you should be going, or they should be going at like 6 a.m. or I don't know, at a certain time, a designated time, because like they're just taking up so much of the skate park at a really busy skate park too. Poots is probably like one of the busiest skate parks in Southern California. So I guess that's all I'm going to say on that. I don't want to like talk too much shit on skate coaches or anything like that. I don't have anything against training or skate coaching, because it's cool. More people skating is an awesome thing. I just think like there needs to be some etiquette to this, because the fact that they're just taking over the skate park and then monetizing the skate park is weird. But you could say the same thing about me, right? I'm out here skating and making money from YouTube, I guess. So like, I don't know, I guess you could say the same thing for me. The difference is like, I'm not taking up people's space, and I try to put my camera in places where anybody can skate and it's really not a destructive thing. And then when I'm filming dialogue, I try to like get out of the way. I'm never like in the middle of the skate park, maybe if it's really mellow. So yeah, we gotta skate somewhere else now. One thing I will say so far that I have noticed is that the bearings are so much faster than my previous bearings. I always thought it was the wheels that are really slowing me down. So your bearings do play a big role. Something I never really think about is like, oh, I need new wheels because I'm going slower. Your wheels get worn out. You don't really notice how worn out your bearings get, really. And I normally don't change them. Like I said, I've been riding the same bearings for over a year. So yeah, really stoked, they're smooth. They're starting to make noise too. They're not so silent anymore, especially when I've been skating on asphalt. We're here at some slappy curbs, get some slappy grinds, and get some thoughts on like the difference between the noise now that's been like almost 3 weeks.
JB weld on that side. There was probably some JB weld right here, but this thing just created that whole thing right there.
That is the downfall to having rails, is like when you're skating curves, like this one has a seam, a joint where it's not all fixed up on the top, and it just grabbed my rail and ripped the screw right out. So now, luckily this board has been like pretty thrashed. I've been skating it for a while. Still gonna keep skating it, but yeah, gonna have to figure out my rails. That is the one thing I feel like rails need to be able to make it through these gaps without getting grabbed. It's the unfortunate reality of riding rails. I love them, but that was the big downfall. My goal with this video is to ultimately show you how much a product really plays a role in skateboarding. Kind of what I'm trying to get at is like, no matter the quality of a really good product, like we're comparing the cheapest bearings basically to some of the most expensive bearings in this video. And the overarching theme is that it's not going to change too much. Like, you have the best board, the best shoes, technically the best or the most expensive, top quality product. It's not going to make you skate whole much better. Like, of course there's going to be a difference, and I'll play the caveat right now, or play the devil's advocate right now, is like, yeah, with the Bones bearings, these Swiss bearings, I was able to go so much faster at washing tree and specifically, and I was able to get more speed at certain spots. So that is the advantage. It did help me get more speed, but I don't think it necessarily allowed me to do tricks. So yeah, there's gonna be some things where it helps you, but ultimately it still relies on the beholder, meaning like the person that's skating can make a big difference. Like I've seen people that skate the worst boards, the smallest wheels, and just the most jacked setup, but they're still really good skateboarders. So it's sometimes a placebo effect, I guess what I'm getting at. So the one thing I will say that's not a placebo effect is I definitely rolled faster and smoother with these bearings. And now they have a little bit of noise to them. Let's hear them now. Not much. Still pretty smooth, but you can kind of start hearing like the little imperfections in there, which is why people like the raws and the shoveless. And I want to compare my reds in this board to the Bronson. These are just the G5, so they're pretty standard Bronson, and I mean, it's hard to show you exactly, but you can hear it. Like that's a pretty rough bearing. And these are fairly new, these Bronson G5, so there's that. I would say those are pretty much skated just as much as these Bone Swiss now. And then here are some reds. These are the bearings that I took off previously. Not the exact bearings, but they are reds. They're definitely not skated for 12 plus months like my previous ones, but pretty smooth. I would actually argue that the Bones reds are probably even smoother than the Bronson, and the Bronson are more expensive bearings. So yeah, that's kind of my point in this video, is just to show you that, like, you know, some of this stuff can play a role, but only a very small role. Ultimately, it's just about putting time in your board. Am I hyped on the Swiss? Absolutely. Do I feel like it's a smoother roll on the board? Absolutely. Do I feel like it's changed my skateboarding exponentially? Definitely not. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Hit that like button down below if you have. Let me know what videos you like to see in the future. Subscribe if you're not. Mash. Also, I'm doing live streams more often, so the live streams will be up when I'm doing them, and then they'll go to the channel members once they're not streaming any longer. I love you.